Well, happy Friday to all of you out there. Welcome to a special edition of the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trae Holiday, and I'm very excited to give you guys a new format today. We thought it would be very, very special if we have a guest in studio and we center in on a singular story that really helps to connect so many elements of the community. We know you guys are used to seeing video clips and news headlines, but this right here is a special edition because we wanted to do a deep dive on a community initiative with our very own community brother, Jermaine Miller, aka Deaf Chef. Deaf Chef, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thanks for having me. Pleased
Absolutely,
to be here.
absolutely. You have been, a thriving pillar in this community for many, many years. Many people know you. I had to go with your government just so those who were in school with you at the good old GHS, they know who you are. But you be out here in this community, man. And so we really wanted to take some time to do a special deep dive on you and all of the initiatives you're a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us again. So when COVID happened, we know a lot of people in our community realized that, hey, we have to come up with solutions for ourselves. We want to hear from you because I know that Deaf Chef Kitchen, literally, as soon as the schools closed, I feel like you were one of the first initiatives out there on the ground looking to feed the people. Tell us a little bit more about that beginning.
We were just in shock. When it happened, it was just so sudden and everything moved rapidly. So we didn't really have a lot of planning time. We just had to pretty much lean on whatever skill set and whatever contacts we had, whatever resources we had, and we needed a quick turnaround. So we pretty much put it together in about 72 hours. A whole lot of it was just, okay, do what you can. I'm gonna do what I can. Let's bring some other people in, and then let's just meet in the middle. Like it got organized once we really got in the same place. But up until then, everybody just did what they could, and we just threw it all in the pot. And it looked good, but it was it was a cluster. Mm-hmm. It was crazy.
Well, it's hard to pull together, I think, all of these kind of solo initiatives. Again, I think this really ties back into a lot of the relationships you have, which we'll get into later. But really, it is the people that are of like mind that said, wait a minute, we got to do something here. We got to step up. So I know it probably looked chaotic in the beginning, but what was it like when you were able to serve those first families as people were coming down and coming through your initiative?
Man, it's interesting. It's almost like anything you do, like you're an artist. So let's say you get up on a stage, you got your little butterflies, because we were worried, stressing, pacing back and forth. Oh, do we got enough of this, dude? And then, once we served the first couple of families, we was, okay, we've done this before. There's just a label on it. We do this every week. Yeah, COVID-19. Okay, we're dealing with the COVID-19. We'll be servicing more people than we normally do. But this is an opportunity to show what we're really about. So that's what we did. We took it as a challenge.
I just love that. I think, I've been able to interview you before, and it reminded me of your resilience when it came to the issues of the schools and their food program and their lack of food in the schools. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about this dichotomy here, because that was just, earlier this year or late last year, we were talking about the food shortage in the schools. So I want to hear from your perspective in terms of the community resilience, once again, to feed the people. What do you feel about this dichotomy that now, the schools didn't have the food, now there's kind of an influx?
Oh man, so interesting you bring that up. Like I said, when you have a blank check, you can do stuff like that. You can weaponize anything. Like they've literally went from, we got these problems to where they're the good guy. Like we're praising them now. Oh, they got all this food. That's cool. But with us, like we're able to do what we do through the community. There's not a blank check. We're using resources, actual people, different restaurants, different kitchens, different think tanks. Like it's a whole collective of individuals making this happen. So we're able to be nutrition conscious, portion conscious, right? I can give you more than a basic portion because this is other people. It's not preset, and I'm not knocking what anybody's doing at this point. Anything you do is great. I know what we're doing, and I know what we're doing isn't based on a budget, and it's not based on a criteria that's controlled on anybody but us. And I'm content with that.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
And, you know, I also, too, wanted to talk to you. I know in the education system, a lot of people right now are talking about how the dollars follow the students. And so I thought about this in terms of the food shortages because, again, when you're talking about a student and all of the resources that come with that student, food is a part of that. So I was really interested to hear from you because a lot of Black families now are saying, well, what's up with those resources that the school district already got for my child being enrolled? What is your perspective on the redistribution of those resources?
Well, we know that this is a wealth redistribution any way you cut it. When you deal with these type of situations, like we talked about the other day, follow the money. So when you follow the money, you'll see where things are going. That's all you have to do. The problem isn't going to change, right? Just like before, when they had the situation with not being able to inspect all the schools. Okay, what was the criteria for getting an inspection? If you can only inspect 25-30% of the schools, what 30% did you inspect? I'm willing to guess, but I want you to tell me. So it's going to be the same thing with the way the resources are allocated or reallocated. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of things going on with that a bunch of people are privy to, and me and you somehow aren't. And like we're at the forefront of this thing, but there's stuff that me and you just ain't gonna know, but we'll hear about it.
Yeah.
When they divvy out, when they carve everything up, right?
Yeah, because that happens all the time in our community. And I think that's why initiatives like yours and all of the other restaurateurs and chefs and caterers that have stepped up, I think it goes back to the resilience of you fighting for your community. Mm-hmm. I mean, it also goes back to the ties of the community. I know I want to really talk about that later in the show, but I really wanted to hear from you because that initial response to stand up and do something, it doesn't come from everybody. I want to hear from you a little bit more about where that comes from for you on a personal level.
It comes from my development and growth in the CD, and also my peers and the circle I got around me, right? Like, obviously the initiative has grown and everybody's doing different things and doing what they're doing. Chef Tariq, he moved over to Coyote Central. Chef Christy, that brown girl cooks. I'm not exactly sure of the address, but it's not. She does live streams all the time, freely gives out the information. And you know what? I partnered with Africatown, right? Deaf Chef Kitchen partnered with Africatown and the Tubman Center and 100 Black Men. And we just came together to keep this thing going. So now we have more satellite areas instead of everybody being in one area and we all got to go to this and no, we need somebody here, and that's what it's going to take. And hopefully this continues and rolls over into our children and the school system, because the lunches that they're getting, make no mistake, these aren't special lunches. These are the lunches that were already allocated that we did not like. They're the same lunches. So what we have to do is continue to do what we do, and we could change this because the resources are there, right? We don't have long lines for food. Like most of the time when people come and get whatever it is I offer, it might take a few minutes, but no. If you're watching the news and seeing what's going on, there's places with miles and miles, right? Food banks where it stretches all the way up the street. But I tell you what I did see. They opened Goodwill up, and there was a line all the way to Rainier, right, and the other way all the way to the I-5 exit off Dearborn.
Yep.
And they selling free stuff.
You know, the thing is we were actually, I was really interested in this because we pass the Dearborn Goodwill when I'm coming into the studio every day. And so I said to Hans, you know, our PA, I said, whoa, what is that? I mean, immediately it was like, we've been coming down this road every day because we've been having this show going since, you know, all of COVID, and it's been every day. and we didn't see those lines. And I see exactly what you mean. There is a drove of people who have been spring cleaning for the last 2 months, and now that Goodwill opened back up to do donations, folks are lining up to drop off their donations. So that's a whole nother story in and of itself. And you're absolutely right. Community initiatives take on different characteristics. So I'm really glad that you ended there, because that's what I want to pick up with after this break. Stay tuned, you guys. We'll be right back with more of the special edition of the Morning Update Show.
I was at the grand opening of the Liberty Bank building, and I just saw so many folks there who had dreams and aspirations of something like that happening again in our community, where once that was the norm, we developed, we build, we created, and now to have to say we got to come back and do it again, this is just the first time, was inspiring to me. I think it also I think Africatown has created a model that others can follow, but I also think that you guys have created, just an energy around the community of folks that are now believing that we can, hold on to it. We're not done. It's not over. The game ain't over. And sometimes, when you look at that clock, I'm playing sports, you're down 21 points in the first quarter. You can either start working harder to get back in it, or you can shut it down and say it's over. Well, you guys have let us know that the game's not over. It's not over.
Well, everybody, welcome back to this special update of the Morning Update Show, or special edition of the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trae Holiday, and sitting in studio with me today is the one and only Deaf Chef. And thank you again. This has been a great conversation so far. I know that we spoke about the beginnings. I wanted to hear about why your mind went directly to service. And now I really want to talk about all of the connections that this really takes. We were talking about, Christy and Tariq and all these chefs that and I really want to get into it, because I think that that's another fabric of really being a part of a community. And so I wanted to hear from you. You've been doing this for a long time. How have these relationships and connections evolved and developed over time?
They've developed all the way to what we're doing now. You know what I'm saying? Like every you only get certain chances in life to really make a difference. Like right now, this is an opportunity. Like we're part of history. Like this isn't a normal type of emergency. This is a pandemic. And one of the main things is that there's going to be basic issues, food, shelter, right? I wanted to focus on issues that I could help solve in real time. I personally I feel I have more years behind me than in front of me. If God say the same, so be it. But I'm dealing with the reality of it. We need answers now. My kids need me to do something now, right? So that's what it's about. It's about my child, your children, everybody, and just making sure that the basics are met. So what's the most basic benefit of life? Like just, okay, you should be able to live, breathing, eating. This isn't rocket science. Like we could always get into the rocket science thing, but do we need to do that now? No, we need to be able to eat. So if that's a problem and that's what I do, I'm gonna help solve that problem, and hopefully the other problems we have, whatever importance they fall in the domino effect, we'll have somebody to deal with that. But I know the first thing, we can't make a difference in anything if everybody's running around hungry. And that was one of the things they did with us. They kept us hungry and uneducated. And we see the results of not being educated on something, right? If you're unaware, you don't know what's going on, you're gonna make bad decisions. And if you're hungry, you'll make bad decisions.
It's very smart to think about hunger in that way. And again, I don't know. I feel like you are right when you talk about being a part of history. and really putting a stamp in the ground in terms of how a community can respond to something like a pandemic. So to me, it goes back to those relationships. You know Chef Tariq, you know Christy.
He was my boss.
I mean, that's what
Right.
I'm saying. The people want to know, how do those relationships even build and bond? Because it's a unique situation for everybody who normally is in competition, or the way that, capitalism works is for all of you to be in competition. But really, you guys saw a need and said, nah, we need to band together. And I think that goes back to, hey, you know these people. They know you and you grew up with them.
Yep.
So speak to the fabric of the community and how that ties to those connections.
Yeah, like as you said, usually it's competition, and it still is. Like when you do something like cooking, it's always competition, but it's a healthy competition. And we've always assisted each other. Like I know if I had anything going on, I could reach out to any of those guys and they're gonna help me. So all we're doing is what we normally do. And it's just like, okay, Chef Tariq might contact me. Here's what we gonna do. And in the same breath, he still might be contacting Christy. Then, okay, I talked to Christy. Oh, well, what's the deal? Here's what she's gonna do. We get on it. And then we bring in whoever else. We got Chef Ariella. There's another Chef Chrissy. Chef Danielle. Like there's so many people to name who are all playing their part. I mean, people like you who are getting us resources. That's another thing. None of this would be happening if it was just Jermaine, Tariq, Christy. They don't got money and resources like that. You know what I'm saying? When we first started off with what we had. Now we have what we have because of y'all. When we started off, it was just us. But now this is a whole community effort, and it was organic. It was organic.
I love that. Yesterday for Throwback Thursday, we did a segment on, the booming businesses of Black folks in the 1920s. And I absolutely, one of the things that I love about the connection between the Throwback Thursday story from yesterday and this effort today is it's exactly the same characteristics of communality. We are in this together.
Yes.
How do we, like you just said, all right, what resources we got? All right, bro, I got, 4 bags of apples. You got this, you got that. And what y'all did was y'all did this, and that created that solid foundation. And so I love hearing the resilience of it, because I think you are right, Def Chef. This is the turn of something that is really meaning communities are having to look inward for resolutions. So I'm thankful that Seattle has a resilient, booming Black community to actually do that with. And I want to ask you a little bit about that as we move along here, because I know you're a Garfield grad.
Yep.
And on the Morning Update show here, we talk a lot about the brilliance of Garfield. And we know there's brilliance at other schools, no shade. But I want to hear from you about how important it was and how those staples, maybe that foundation of Garfield, how that helped you have these other kind of connections within the community.
Yeah, growing up, like Garfield was the hubbub, and I don't live in the city anymore, or I'm a little bit older, so I'm not in tune with everything. But my son went to Garfield his freshman year, and he was extremely excited. Obviously, I went there for my senior year. Before that, I went to O'Day, but I was a Garfield kid for real. I played for CAY, played for Garfield Community Center. Back when the community centers was the hubbub of stuff for young people and whatever, and that's where I learned how important being Black was, how to really embrace it. Of course, I was taught a lot of self-love at home, but Garfield is where I got my education. That's where I learned about my legends and my blueprint on what I'm trying to grow into and become. It's where I experienced my first march. It was where I experienced my first struggles, competition, unity, all that is Garfield, right? So it's only natural and it's only right that a bunch of Garfield kids is gonna come back together. And the thing about Garfield is community. It's not about Garfield School. That's a school. Garfield, the community, resonates everything. It's the center of everything. right? There's plenty of people who you didn't go to Garfield High School, but your whole childhood was Garfield. You didn't know anything else. You figured out something else when you got bussed out. But even when you got bussed out, first thing you gonna do, you gonna run up to Garfield because that's who you know. You don't know them kids.
Right.
So it is just like what we doing. We started off with who we know, right? I could trust you. I know what you about, because this is a very sensitive thing. Very sensitive. You know, there's a lot of scamming going on. I know I talk about it a lot, but you know what? I wanna keep it on your brain. So we had to form a core of people who we know your hands is gonna be on the table, and you're not in this to pay your rent. If you can't pay your rent, you can't come to the people for that. And that's another thing. I'm able to do things that I wasn't able to do before because of the people, right? So when I help somebody pay a bill, when I help somebody get their prescription or do something for their household, and they're like, oh, thank you. Nah, this from the community, right? I'm just the person who they put in charge, so it seemed like it's me, but nah, this is us. And that's the feeling I get every time that I get to say that, because it's a beautiful thing, and we need more of it, but we're proving we could come together and we could look out for each other. We've proven it.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. You got me a little emotional. So with that, you guys, this is just a really great interview with Def Chef. We wanted to give you guys an inside look into how this community is staying resilient. Stay with us, you guys. We'll be right back.
I was at the grand opening of the Liberty Bank building, and I just saw so many folks there who had dreams and aspirations of something like that happening again in our community, where once that was the norm, we developed, we build, we created, and now to have to say we got to come back and do it again, this is just the first time, was inspiring to me. I think it also I think Africatown has created a model that others can follow, but I also think that you guys have created, just an energy around the community of folks that are now believing that we can, hold on to it. We're not done. It's not over. The game ain't over. Sometimes, when you look at the clock, I'm playing sports. You're down 21 points in the first quarter. You can either start working harder to get back in it, or you can shut it down and say it's over. Well, you guys have let us know that the game's not over. It's not over.
Well, thank you guys for sticking with us on this special edition of the Morning Update Show on this Friday. What is it, May 22nd now? May 21st? No, it's 22nd. It's May 22nd. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You guys, this has been an in-depth interview with Def Chef. And I got a little bit emotional because as he was explaining the reason to do this, it lets you know that there is real resilience right here within our community, and we really need to spotlight it. So once again, Def Chef, thank you again. This has been phenomenal.
Yes, ma'am.
It always is, though, when we get together.
We chop it up good.
You know it.
Yes.
Well, I really wanted to talk about the partnership. I want to expand and let people understand. Now we're formally partnered together, Africatown Community Land Trust and Def Chef. And I know that comes with a lot more opportunities. So let's the people understand what that partnership means to you and what that's going to look like in terms of the benefits.
Well, for me and the community, the food is going to be great food. It's going to be the type of food that you would pay for, except this is what we're giving to you. It's going to give me more opportunity to work with y'all and the fellowship in general, because we're going to be doing a lot of things together. So I don't even know what we have in store. I just know it's going to be good. I have a good feeling. It's been good up into this point, because one thing I will say is that once Africatown got involved, this thing took off. I'm not taking anything from anyone or anybody's network. I'm pretty sure who all these people we name, they had these awesome networks, but I know what I remember and what I saw. And so I know what y'all can do for getting information out there and getting stuff recognized. And so that's what I want to do. I want to get this food justice struggle recognize and make us understand how important it is for us to take the lead on it. Kind of like education, right? When the black community took the lead on education, they couldn't stop us from learning. We wasn't gonna have it. That's what we got to do. We have to refuse to not feed ourselves beyond properly. Like, eating should be festive. You shouldn't be getting a plate of food in front of you and not feeling good about it. We need to try to eliminate that to the best degree we can.
Oh, I think you are so right on that. And I think that's another reason why the community approach is so important. Again, because when you're talking about culturally responsiveness, we use the word culturally responsive all the time, but really it's because there are so many things that are not culturally responsive. And I believe that, again, you know, when you talk about the difference between the food at the schools and the food that you're serving, what are some of the meals you're giving to the people?
Oh man, any roasted chicken, ribeye, chow mein, ziti, different salads, but baguette sandwiches, anything you could think of that's going to be from the hand and from the soul. We're trying to partner up with the black farmers, right? And get their stuff from them and incorporate their produce into what we're doing. Now, here's the thing people got to understand. The farmers got to get paid. I don't got to get paid. The farmers need to get paid if we want certain things to continue. The donations we get, our partners in that, that's what they do. But if we want to bring in that aspect, the growers, and you know, that situation, then we're going to have to compensate. And I think that it's something that we could create and make happen, and it'll be good for the ecology because we know we could depend on those crops to give them back to the community.
Absolutely. And, you know, I love hearing this because this has been a lot of talks that I'm in. A lot of the things that we do and the community doesn't know is behind the scenes, man. We are constantly making connections and collaborations and partnerships and talking to people, and especially during a pandemic when so many things are really up for the community to come up with a solution, just as you have done with Community Kitchen. It's very, very similar to that, but it's happening in all of the sectors you could possibly think of that are basically dismantled, and COVID is showing us that, right? So, you know, education, we talk about it a lot, is one, but also community building is another. You know, we have to stay grounded and connected to the people if we want to, you know, see that real change. And also continue the relationships that we've already started, right? You don't want to leave people out in a lurch right now when they need the help the most. And that's another reason why we have to big up folks like yourself. I mean, there's a lot of great folks in our community, and that's one of the things that I love the most. So, you know, I know that right now we have emergency feeding program. We mentioned 100 Black Men. We have an event that we're going to be promoting at the end of the show here. But right now, there is a partnership with the Plate Fund and Emergency Feeding Program through Africatown Community Land Trust that's bringing in, what, 850 pounds of food every week.
Every week.
Yeah, and you said, look, we can serve, you know, as long as we get this money, you got $1,000 grant. You're like, that could serve 1,000 families. I really want to hear from you. How do you fix the meals? You know, you get these blanketed donations. You don't know what you're going to get. What does that transition look like from donation to creation? Okay,
so you get what you got, and you got to be fast. You got to kind of have an idea of what you could do with this as soon as you see it. Okay, we'll deal with something simple. Tomatoes. When you see the tomatoes, you should already have 5 options in your mind when you look at them, right? Now, you might take more time and think of another 5, but that's what it is. It's almost like a mystery box, right? I get it. Okay, we got bananas. Okay, what do you like to do with bananas? What can you do to process 100 pounds of bananas that's not gonna bore you to death because you know it's about to be monotonous? Okay, get it done. Same thing with some potatoes or some onions. Like, okay, you got something right there. You got potatoes, onions, whatever your flavor profile is going to be, right? But you're going to really do the work. These are unpeeled potatoes. These aren't frozen potatoes. These are onions that you got to chop up and dice up. Like, no, you're going to work. This is raw food. But the beautiful thing is that you have a canvas and it gives you an opportunity to experiment. It gives you an opportunity to sharpen your skill set. You know what I'm saying? Some of you dudes running around there cooking, you need to learn how to peel some dang potatoes, man. You don't know, you're not good, brother. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how to shred lettuce with a knife. I'm watching your stuff. So it's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to have some empathy, because when you're doing this, here's the thing. This isn't for profit, right? It's for a different type of profit. It's for human profit. It's for community equity. Mm-hmm. So I don't want you here because you have to be. I don't want you here for clout, or like what. That's not gonna help us at all. If you're not here to give because you really care, then go do something else or just quarantine. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're in the way, then it's gonna be a problem for everybody. You're gonna hold up production.
Oh man, that's a smart point. And I also think that, you know, one of the unique characteristics about your approach, I know firsthand, is you said, look, there's a lot of programs that are doing food boxes, right? They're providing uncooked foods and come and get, you know, a box of food to last you a week or 3 days, come back and get another box of food. But you have actually been seeing on the other side of this that people are like, man, I don't know what to do with it. You know, like there's an issue between, again, from them getting something and it actually being, you know, plentiful, you know, and nourishing to their bodies and to create a meal out of it. So I know that you have taken a very specific approach to getting this food and figuring out, hey, I know that we can do this, and that. Just what you said. With, hey, you look at the tomatoes, you got 5 ideas. Yeah. What was it about some of those characteristics with the other food programs that made you want to think, nah, man, we need to do meals?
Because people need to, okay, it's crazy because even with everything going on, 24 hours is still 24 hours, right? Just because you're at home doesn't mean you have a lot of time to be processing a bunch of food that you don't really know how to process or that you don't know anything about, and you're in a situation of duress, right? So if I got a bunch of squash or a bunch of eggplant or whatever, and I know my people don't really deal with this or know about it, but they'll eat it if you present it to them properly. I think it makes more sense to take the time to present it to them properly and not just let it go to waste. I see this all the time. I hate to say this, I love the food bank. Those are good people. They support what I do. But I also know people who get stuff from the food bank and they tell me the truth. Oh man, they gave me this, I didn't know what to do with it, so I just did this. And I rarely hear, I found somebody who would do something with it. Usually it's, I just got rid of it. I don't even ask what got rid of it mean. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to turn this into you trying to educate me. So I'm gonna let it be an educational thing. But a lot of times they're not processing that food. They're not doing nothing with it. Wow.
I mean, I know, sorry, you guys, if you guys can hear the trucks, we just are getting our delivery right now. We're getting our delivery. Lots of stuff going on in the building. But one of the things that I think is super important about what you just said, and we're going to commercial break here, but I think it's super important that we give workable solutions to the community, that they're not just about capturing demographics.
Yes.
I think a lot of those food programs are doing just that. They're saying, look at how many people we're serving every week or every day, right? And that is a problem, I think, in this pandemic, in any rush to resource, where you have people who are trying to basically help as many families as they can to get more resources. Is that something you're also seeing out there? I just wanted to ask your opinion before we go to break.
Man, like and I get it, right, because numbers are attached to that, and that brings in money. But there have been so many programs where one of the first things they want to know, well, how many people are you serving? And I'm just like, well, why do you want to know? And I know why you want to know, but I just want you to tell me. I just want to see if you're going to be honest, right? And my thing is that I don't know. I don't really see the point in me keeping count, right? My thing is this: however much food I got, I'm trying to get rid of all of it. I'll keep count when I could never keep food. Then, because my specs and my metrics, it'll make sense. Oh, what's up? We don't got enough. We're running out too fast. But right now, you're with me in this. Like, come on, man. I'm trying to find people to get his food to.
Wow.
And everybody, it's crazy because we got a food shortage, and everybody's broke. Okay, well, we're here. Here's the resources.
Wow.
Come get it.
So true. So true. Absolutely. Well, once again, you guys, we got to get out here because we don't want to be messing up our audio. They're right there doing the food delivery right now. We're going to be back after this short break. You guys can see them right there. We're coming right back.
I was at the grand opening of the Liberty Bank building, and I just saw so many folks there who had dreams and aspirations of something like that happening again in our community, where once that was the norm, we developed, we build, we created, and now to have to say we got to come back and do it again, this is just the first time, was inspiring to me. I think it also I think Africatown has created a model that others can follow, but I also think that you guys have created, just an energy around the community of folks that are now believing that we can, hold on to it. We're not done. It's not over. The game ain't over. Sometimes, when you look at the clock, I'm playing sports. You down 21 points in the first quarter. You can either start working harder to get back in it, or you can shut it down and say it's over. Well, you guys have let us know that the game's not over. It's not over.
Well, hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this special edition of the Morning Update Show. I am your host, Trae Holiday, and I have just been having a joy today having an in-depth discussion with one of our community heroes, Deaf Chef of Deaf Chef Kitchen. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. We got the delivery out the way.
Wow.
Look at all that food we have.
Yes.
I mean, phenomenal. I'm really excited because later.
Thank you for setting that up.
You already know, man.
Come on, man.
And we're family out here,
okay.
All
right?
Right? They kept reaching out to ACLT and saying, hey, we have food, we have food, we have food. And it was like, oh, we can't turn away the donation of food when we know that there's people in the community that are tied to this food shortage, tied to the incubation of food and the ecosystem of food. So we reached right out to you saying, hey, what can we do? Because we're going to get these donations. We want to make sure it gets out to the community. And with that, I'm really excited because later today we get to launch our very first event together.
Yes,
so I'm so excited for that. Yeah, we'll be you guys will be at Walgreens around 3:30. We'll be setting up about 3 o'clock. Come out, have a good time. We'll have some food, some PPE, some masks. We're partnering with the Tubman Center, 100 Black Men, the Plate Fund, Deaf Chef Kitchen, Willard Jimerson, Ebony Heller, all of the people from the community. It's gonna be a blast. So I want to make sure I got everybody. Black Men 100 emergency feeding program. So we're really excited because the Tubman Center said, look, we are out here. They have their board already that is ready to volunteer and bring masks to the people. They've done a partnership with 100 Black Men who has been producing these masks. They have the mask production. So really, I'm excited. They also got some masks from the county. So we're going to be out there tomorrow. And then you're going to be having some amazing foods.
It's definitely processing. It's going to happen a little bit later.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yes, I am too.
So I know this will be the second time that we'll be up there on Walgreens. And I just want to show you guys a clip of the first time that you guys pulled together this community effort. And you guys said, look, we're going to do this for the people.
Yes.
Hey, take a look at this.
Clear?
And we're back. I mean, that's what it's all about. How did that make you feel doing that the first time?
Man, it made me so happy, made me so proud to see it. Like, I've known Willard a long time. I remember when he came home. I'm talking about from the first time being born. I grew up with his family. I know all his brothers and his dad. So he's pretty much family, to be honest.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know what? So much of us, because again, we know that Seattle doesn't have all large black population. So a lot of it is really we know each other.
We know each other.
Hey, Cuddy, this is my fam. That's how we grew up. And it's the same for me. I remember the first time I was working here at the Land Trust, and Ebony walked in, and I'm staring at Ebony, and I'm like, girl, I know you. And she's like, huh? And sure enough, I'm like, my cousin. Oh my God, my cousin Toy. You were my cousin's friend. You were her cousin. I knew you from the Valley. So we started talking. And it's just so funny because that's one of the things that you got to love about this community. I think it goes back to why I got so emotional on the last segment.
Right.
When you're talking about the ties, they're deeply rooted. So for all of us to come out there to Walgreens and that historic, Jackson being so historic, that's really what it's about. It's about bringing the resilience back. What do you feel?
Yeah, it's a throwback. I mean, we used to do that type of stuff, just impromptu cookouts, like, okay, I got a bunch of this, get the word out. And then next thing you know, it looks like that video right there, so yeah, it's important you get to see people, check back in with them, especially the older people, right? The elder, because a lot of these people, I remember them when they were much, much younger. So I get to see you now. Some people are doing good, some people aren't. But in that moment, like, you don't even think about that. You just be happy to see each other.
Right. It's always like a reunion.
Yeah, it's always like exactly. It's always like a reunion.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow. A great kickoff to Memorial Day weekend. We just want to thank everybody for doing that. We're really excited because honestly, you guys, this is what it's about. It's a community resilience. We're all a family. And we encourage you to come down, grab a plate, grab a mask. Today, we'll be there at 3:30. Feel free to share it with a friend. We'll have the flyer going out for you guys so you guys can see that. All of you who live in Liberty Bank Building, in Monica's Village, in Jackson Heights, we're encouraging you. Please come out. Grab a plate, share a story, have a good time. And also, too, Def Chef, I know that we can't end the show without an opportunity for folks to give to your cause. So now, how do they give? If we got some folks out there watching, some audience members who love what you're doing and they want to give to your cause, how do they do that?
I'm glad you brought that up. I always forget. People ride me about not bringing that up. Now's a good time. I'm on Cash App, $ DEF, DEF, capital D, capital CHEF, capital KITCHEN, Def Chef Kitchen. And if you want to contribute in that way, or if you want to contribute with another way, if you got some old canned goods, or if you got any type of resources we could use, it doesn't have to be monetary. Even if you just come out and take advantage of the resources, that's support. So just support us.
Absolutely. You have been phenomenal. I thank you so much for your time. I know I couldn't wait to get you here because I'm so excited for the partnership. Yeah. And you guys don't know, Def Chef and I got a lot of things we cooking up. We're gonna roll them out to the community soon because I love it. You know, Def Chef, you don't only just think about food. You know, Def Chef's like, look, I want a book club for the youth where we work with the youth and we do these books. I want us to do it on a show and we have a chill. I mean, we have some great, phenomenal people in our community that are so creative with so many great ideas. It's time to actualize our ideas, you guys. Well, thank you so much again for joining us on this special edition of the Morning Update. I am your host, Trae Holiday, and we hope you guys have a great Memorial Day.